All right, and to help us make sense of all these political drama, I think it's more than drama that we're experiencing. We're now joined by political analyst Ronald Llamas. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Karen. Long time no see.
I know, long time no see, and I like your background right now. But okay, hearing the president speak at the ASEAN summit as he faced reporters, it seems that the president's been put on the defensive at this point. What are your thoughts that these interviews are precious and the president is asked about things of reconciliation, impeachment, etc. It's not about the economy, his vision, where are we going? So, Ronald, I'll be honest, where is the president right now? His political stock?
Actually, Karen, nung narinig ko yung kanyang interview, ang unang pumasok sa isip ko, what was that about? No, what was that about? Dahil sinubukan niyang i-restart yung kanyang new messaging at yung kanyang next 3-year term doon sa interview niya kay Tonying. Nung interview niya kay Tonying, marami siyang sinabi ron eh. No, medyo very empathic siya at kalawa ay parang sinasabi niya na willing siyang mag-adjust, medyo self-critical yung kanyang interview at nagbigay siya ng hint ng isang cabinet revamp. Pero in-emphasize din niya na kahit gusto niya ng reconciliation, he wants to be a president who is respected, strong, and even feared. So makikita mo yung elements of a narrative, of a messaging. Dahil ang tingin niya, medyo nagkaproblema sila. Half of the problem was messaging. At yun yung resulta ng midterm election. Yun yung resulta ng pagbaba ng kanyang approval ratings. Nasa ngayon yata ay nasa 32. Pero before, bumaba hanggang 25. No? At sinundan niya yan ng isang cabinet revamp na medyo by increments. Usually kasi, Karen, pag magka-cabinet revamp ka, isang buhos na lang para mas dramatic, di ba? Tapos walang rigo doon. Wala kang ililipat sa ibang posisyon. Sabi nga ni Executive Secretary Bersamin, yung dahilan kung bakit sila matatanggal is inefficiency or corruption. But mo ililipat sa ibang posisyon. So ngayon, after nitong message, nitong kanyang interview, parang mix yung messages. Ano ba yung gusto niyang gawin? No? From the very start naman, hindi viable yung reconciliation eh. Nakita mo kung paano naglagay ng condition yung mga Duterte sa reconciliation. Pabalikin si Digong sa Pilipinas. Alam naman nila at alam din ni BBM, hindi na posible yon. Wala namang may control sa ICC eh. So it was a condition na alam ng lahat hindi makakamit. So patay na yung reconciliation na parang offer ng presidente, no? Ngayon nasa gitna siya ng revamp. At alam ko today dapat maglalabas siya ng second batch na mari-revamp today as we speak, no? Pero itong kanyang statement about impeachment medyo weird dahil tapos na kasi yung panahon for public posturing eh. Tapos na yan eh. Tapos na yung impeachment, tapos na yung midterm election. So what was that about? It only demoralizes your base.
Yes.
Suporta sa impeachment and it adds fuel dun sa mga Duterte, sa mga kalaban mo to create the momentum going into 2028. So hindi ko nakita kung ano yung strategy and tactics with that statement. Lalo na lumalabas na wala siyang control sa kanyang anak.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Huh? Yeah, because the president kept saying, I have no control on those who supported the impeachment. And yet, I think the reporters could have followed up, but your son was the first to sign. Are you saying you have no control over your own family?
Yes, tapos ang sinabi pa ng kanyang anak, kaya siya pumirma, dahil ipapahukay yung kanyang lolo at itatapon sa West Philippine Sea. So it wasn't just a signature. May laman, may galit, di ba? May galit. Ikalawa, yung kanyang pinsan, who is the speaker, na nakakuha ng 250 to 260 votes. No, malaki yun ha. Hindi yung usual na nangyayari. Yung mga previous impeachment, hindi ganun kalaki. So, tinatapon mo under the bus yung pinsan, yung speaker, with this statement. For what value? Hindi mo naman makukumbinsi yung mga Duterte na wala kang kinalaman sa impeachment. With that huge margin, no, 260, wala kang makukumbinsi. So sino kinukumbinsi mo? Sino ang gusto mong ma-consolidate? Sino ang gusto mong magkaroon ng value added? Wala akong nakikita, Karen eh.
So what is it? Where is President Marcos Jr. right now? You have seen so many presidents. You and I, well, you more because you're much older than I am. But I've been a journalist for 32 years. You've been a professor, an analyst for longer. And during the time of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, she had the lowest midterm trust and approval ratings, midterm at 30%. But President Marcos Jr. hit lower during elections at 25. So where is he now?
Ang tingin ko kay President Bongbong, torn siya between his character and what needs to be done. Torn siya ron eh. Halimbawa, magsosona siya. Very sharp yung kanyang dalawang previous zona eh. Durugi ng mga kartel, hulihin ng mga hoarders, hulihin ng mga smugglers. No? Very keen siya halimbawa sa agriculture. No? Pero hindi naman siya palaaway. Yung kanyang statement is a declaration of war sa mga cartels. Kaya wala ni isang kartel ang nadurog. Wala ni isang smuggler at saka hoarder ang nakulong. No? So kinakapo siya. Doon sa kanyang mga statements, doon sa kanyang tama naman ang pagtingin ko na gusto niyang gawin, pero yung kanyang character na kinakailangan ng decisiveness, ng strength, even a hint of ruthlessness. Na binanggit naman niya nung interview niya kay Tonying. Pero ayun nga parang yung balanse na yon nawawala. No? Nawawala. Kaya nasa gitna siya ng gera eh. Nasa gitna siya ng gera. Gusto siya ipa-assassinate ng kanyang vice president. Gusto siyang ipa-impeach. No? Gusto siyang i-oust. Ang dami. That is a war. No? At nasa midterm siya ng kanyang kampanya at medyo disastrous yung kanyang midterm election. Usually nasisweep yan eh. Ng incumbent. Dito, medyo ang laki ng damage sa kanya. So, ang problema, hindi siya ay risk averse, siya ay conflict averse, at siya ay passive aggressive. So that comes into play. No? Kaya maganda sana yung kanyang gustong gawin dun sa interview niya kay Tonying, pero parang nag-dissipate yun with this interview. No? Nag-dissipate yung kanyang gustong gawin na bagong reset. Nagre-reset siya in terms of messaging at saka substance. Yung substance ay yung kanyang revamp. No? Pero at this point, so nasaan siya? Medyo ako, Karen, nalilito rin eh. Ano ba talaga ang gusto niyang gawin? No? Dahil nasa gera siya eh. Sa political war siya eh. So, kailangan i-rally mo yung troops mo. Kailangan i-urge mo yung mga troops mo papunta dun sa final battle sa 2028. Ang nangyayari ngayon, nade-demoralize pa yung kanyang troops at nabibigyan niya ng bala yung kanyang kalaban.
And I was gonna ask you, is, Senator Amy Marcos in several interviews has said, alam mo Karen, bihira ang mabigyan ng ganitong pagkakataon, right? She keeps repeating that, for the Marcoses to be back in power and she's always said that this is not a Marcos administration, but she said a Romualdez and Araneta administration in her Facebook. That was right before the campaign. This is existential for the Marcoses. So that's what I want to ask you. You're right, he's in the middle of a war. So right now you have Sara Duterte at 50%. Pulse Asia's Bayanang Survey approval trust rating, and Rodrigo Duterte, who is not in office at all, is at 63%, right?
Yes.
I mean, I don't think, have we ever had one who was a former president na ganito kataas, Ronald?
Well, una, saan ba nanggaling si Digong? Nanggaling siya sa a high of 91-92% noong 2020-2021. So medyo bumaba naman. Pero tama ka na medyo mataas yan para sa isang former president. Usually, yung mga presidente, pagkatapos ng term nila, ay bumababa doon sa kanilang highest approval rating. Halimbawa, alam ko si Pinoy mga almost 49, 50 nung natapos yung kanyang term. Si Digong around 50 rin. So, ngayon ay medyo tumaas pa
Tumaas
siya.
pa.
Medyo
Oo.
tumaas pa, no? Siguro bahagi niya ay sympathy. Bahagi niyan ay yung messaging ng gobyerno left much to be desired. Halimbawa, hindi nila nagamit yung 90% na sumusuporta sa ating pagtutol sa aggression ng China. Hindi nila yung nagamit kay Digong na clearly pro-China. Kay Sara na clearly pro-China. Halimbawa, yung Tokhang, yung victims ng mga families ng Tokhang, hindi nila na-maximize yan against the Dutertes. Ano nangyari? Yung Dutertes pa ngayon ang binabiolate ang human rights.
Oo nga.
Duterte pa ngayon ang binabiolate ang rule of law. Ibig sabihin, that was a problem of messaging. Hindi nila na-maximize yan. Bagamat inattempt ni Presidente during the campaign na sabihin lahat yan. Nagulat ako kay Presidente dahil nung campaign, ang sinabi niya, itong betrayal ng ating sovereignty ng mga Duterte, itong massive graft and corruption ng mga Duterte, itong mismanagement ng COVID, itong violation ng human rights, ng crimes against humanity. Bilanggit niya yan eh. Ang problema, siya lang ang bumabanggit. Yung kanyang mga kandidato ng mga senador, hindi man lang ini-echo yung kanyang sinasabi during the campaign trail. Kung manonotice mo, no? Kung manonotice mo, Karen, parang siya lang mag-isa, parang siyang Lone Ranger. So medyo may disconnect. May disconnect dun sa organisasyon, dun sa strategy, dun sa tactics. Na baka hindi pa naman too late dahil may 3 years pa siya.
Yeah, so yun na.
He has to get his act together, no? He has to get his act together.
But that's my question, Ronald, right now. No, he has 3 years. And I'm going to quote Pulse Asia. Ronald Llamas said, among all the presidents, he is at the earliest to become a lame duck. I want to clarify to our viewers, this is not my opinion. This
Yes.
is coming from an interview with Ronald Llamas on ANC, where he said usually presidents become a lame duck a year before they leave office.
Yes.
Kasi iniisip na yung susunod na presidente, di ba? Doon na lumalapit lahat ng politiko.
Yes, yes.
Oo. He said typically that's a year before, right? Ronald Holmes of Pulse Asia said that.
Yes.
So, ito, sinabi rin Ronald Holmes, napakaaga daw naging lame duck. I want your thoughts on that. And ito, be specific, Ronald. What can he do? What can he do in the 3 years?
Well, tama si Tokayo, no? Tama si Ronnie, no? Ngayon nasa verge siya, nasa bingit siya of being an early lame duck president. Dahil yung kanyang approval ratings bumababa, tapos yung kanyang kalaban tumataas. Tapos galing siya sa isang disastrous budget controversy. Kung maalala mo, no? Yung budget controversy, medyo defining yun. Dahil before the budget controversy, yung mga Duterte ay nasa isang corner. After the budget controversy, sila ngayon ang nasa corner. Nagpatuloy yan hanggang sa midterm na medyo naging disastrous. At tapos ngayon, mga approval ratings niya ay pababa. Even lower than Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. So, yung kanyang mga political base na hindi naman yan loyal, wala namang ideology yan, will slowly gravitate doon sa frontliner sa 2028. Dahil wala naman silang, for now, wala naman silang kandidato for 2028 na mataas ang ratings. So all that combined will help create the lame duck president na ating incumbent president. So yun yung magiging problema niya. Mag-gravitate yan slowly. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng lame duck. Yung political base mo, yung mga local officials, yung Congress, yung Senate, dahan-dahan niyang magne-negotiate doon sa iyong kalaban or kung sino man yung leading going into the 2028 elections. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng lame duck. Yung legislative bills, yung priority bills, magkakaroon ng problema. At posible yung tinutulak ni yung binanggit ni Vice President Sara, posible na magkaroon ng impeachment. Hindi ni Sara, kundi ng presidente. Kung hindi niya aayusin ito, dahil sinabi ni Sara pilote na niya idea ng impeachment. Ibig sabihin, nararamdaman
Baliktad.
Oo, nararamdaman ni Sara na bumababa siya at tumataas siya. at unti-unti niyang mahahatak yung kanyang political base. Kaya itong labanan for the speakership sa July is also crucial. Yung pipiliin mo bang speaker ay can control Congress to prevent an impeachment ng presidente? Yung ilalagay mo bang speaker ay kayang isulong yung iyong priority bills which will define your governance? No? So ganyan yung labanan. Hindi lang yung labanan ng political baggage. Labanan yan ng control. Who can control Congress?
Oo. But alam mo, di ba, ang kasabihan sa, you remember this during Bill Clinton's time, when Bill Clinton was impeached, right? It crossed two Congresses. But one of the reasons, I think a political analyst said as well, that it was very difficult to impeach Bill Clinton at that time, is, you remember who said that quote? It's all about the economy, stupid. Who said that?
Yes.
Do you remember, Ronald?
Yes, yung kanyang economic advisor.
Yeah.
Ng ko yung
Yes, so diba, it's all about the economy, stupid. Meaning, you know, how do you impeach a guy wherein the US was experiencing a robust economy at that period? So is this, frankly, the problem of President Marcos Jr.? Kasi we're looking at distractions, diba? Tama kayo. He's at war with the Dutertes. But if the economy were doing so well, alam mo, if the 2025 budget was not mangled the way it was, tanggalan mo ba naman ng 12 billion ang DepEd? Saan ka ba naman nakarinig nun in that history? Ang tanong ko, would he be experiencing this?
Yes. Again, eksakto yung sinabi mo, Karen. No? Halimbawa, yung ating growth target, dati 7%, bumaba sa 6, ngayon 5. Hindi ko na alam kung ano target ngayon. No? Pinagmamalaki natin 2 years ago na tayo yung fastest growing economy dito sa region. Ngayon hindi na. No? Ikalawa ay halimbawa self-rated poverty, 63%. That's a record high. No? That's more than 2.5 decades ago, yung ganyang klaseng self-rated poverty. Even starvation, even hunger ay nasa 28%, yung involuntary hunger na tinatawag. Tapos yung iyong education, 91% na learning poverty, no, the highest ayon sa World Bank, no. So yung mga ibang targets mo, halimbawa target mo sa housing 3 million, ang na-produce lang 240,000. Yung target mo sa tourism, yung pre-pandemic levels na 8 million, ngayon 5 million lamang. So dito papasok yung cabinet revamp, yung iyong restart na ayusin mo ito, pero kailangan yung iyong mga generals, yung iyong cabinet secretaries should partly take the blame. Ngayon kasi lahat ng blame na sa presidente. Dahil hindi mo makikita sa kalsada defending the president yung kanyang mga cabinet secretary. At yan yung purpose ng cabinet revamp. No? Para partly to put the blame sa iyong cabinet secretary, partly to protect the president, at partly para sabihin sa tao, aayusin ko ito. Aayusin ko agriculture, aayusin ko tourism, aayusin ko yung economy. Pero problema, nagsabi na siya, hindi magagalaw ang economic team. Sa'yo tatama yon. No? At kung hindi niya gagalawin ang agriculture, tatama sa kanya yon. Kung hindi niya tatanggalin yung sa health, tatamaan siya nun. So, hinihintay ko, sino ba yung susunod today na cabinet revamp? Dahil crucial yan dito sa kanyang start. Crucial yan dito sa kawalan ng kanyang reform agenda.
Okay.
Kung gawa ng maayos na yan, pwedeng sumunod yung reform agenda.
Okay, so before we close, we don't have enough time, but I want you to name names, okay? Who do you think would be replaced or axed in the next round? Who do you think?
Yeah. Again, until it happens, it never happened. Pero yung mga nanganganib at this point, alimbawa yung DOLE Secretary sila Guesma. Okay. No? Nanganganib yan. No?
Bakit, sir? Sa pananaw mo, bakit?
Well, hindi mo nga alam kung ano ginagawa ng DOLE. No? Labor Day, no? Galit yung mga manggagawa, walang naibigay. Paano pa pag hindi Labor Day? Paano pa yung everyday? No? Ikalawa, si Solicitor General Guevara, no? Na ayaw i-represent yung gobyerno. Yun ang trabaho ng Solgen, to represent the government, no? At malinaw, ito yung nag-file ng kaso against Laila de Lima para bawiin yung acquittal. So, yun, di ba? Yun yung, so hindi mo alam ang loyalty niya. From my vantage point, ang loyalty niya kay Digong. Ikatlo, tingin ko nanganganib si Secretary Hans Kapdak.
I just interviewed him. But
Yes,
why?
I saw it. No?
Why?
Mabait yan, kanyan, malinis yan. Ang problema ay ang tingin sa kanya tahimik. 'Di ba? Wala siya sa front line nitong gera. No? Kaya may mga gustong kumuha ng kanyang posisyon.
Oo.
No?
But not because he's
magaling yan eh.
inefficient. Not
Oo.
because he's inefficient.
No,
It's
no,
because
okay
may
yan.
mga interesado.
Yes. At saka
Okay.
silent worker. Pero
Oo.
during a war, kailangan na medyo maingay. No? Yan yung mga tapos may mga tingin ko tatlo mahaba na yung 5 eh.
But what about, I'm curious, Secretary Cristina Frasco? I mean, everybody knows she's a very hard worker, right? She's praised for that. But it's a different space now. You know, what happened to Cebu? Visayas also not delivering. Visayas went all Duterte. And then you had a big loss for Gwen Garcia. So it's almost like the Visayas has spoken. I want to ask you, does this affect Cristina Frasco?
Well, definitely, no? Definitely, no? Dahil sabi ko nga kanina, yung kanyang target na pre-pandemic level ay hindi naabot. Ikalawa, yung kanyang political support medyo nawala, no? Yung binabanggit mo ngayon, no? At ikatlo, mukhang may gusto rin ng kanyang posisyon, no? Yun yung kwan. Pero mukhang kumpara doon sa tatlong binanggit ko ay hindi pa naman siya nasa chopping board, no?
Oo.
Si Herbosa, yung banat kay DNR Secretary Loizaga, yun din ang isang banat sa kanya. Biyahe siya ng biyahe. Napakahalaga ng health. Dapat day-to-day yan eh. No? At may mga hints of corruption, no? Sa Department of Health. No? Mga mag-expire na mga gamot na hindi daw na binibili, etc. No? At yung utang sa mga private hospitals, no, in the billions, no? So maraming mga problema yung health sector natin, maliban pa doon sa na zero yung PhilHealth, no?
Oo.
So yun, kaya nanganganib din si Ted Herbosa, pero hindi ko sigurado dahil marami siyang backers eh. Marami siyang backers.
Okay.
Ikatlo ay yung agriculture. Ito tumatama sa ating economy, ito tumatama kay presidente, no? Anong gagawin niya kay Secretary Chu Laurel? 'Di ba? Anong gagawin niya diyan? So may mga several pa, parang ito yung first na nanganganib. Itong pinag-usapan natin ngayon, maybe, no? Depende yan sa mga pressures, counter pressures do sa kanilang mga supporters at kaaway, no? Kaya ang Karen, dapat isang buhos yan eh. No, hindi yan yung parang dahan-dahan by increments. Dahil ino-open mo sa pressure, counter pressure, yung iyong selection process, no? Nung pinapanood ko nga si presidente, ang pumasok sa isip ko si Hamlet eh. Be or not to be. No, dahil parang hindi malinaw ano ba gagawin niya, no? Para siyang si Hamlet eh, no? Tragic hero na to be or not to be. That is the question. At yung question natin ngayon, ano ba to be or not to be?
Okay. Well, you know what? We don't have enough time, but I have to say, Ronald, this was one very insightful discussion that we've had. And I do hope, honestly, the allies of the president, those close to him, watch your thoughts this morning, because I think they're spot on. Also, thank you so much for joining me, and I do hope to have you again. Thank you, sir.
Maraming salamat, Karen.
Never miss a story. Unlock exclusive access to uninterrupted streaming and premium news content. Subscribe to ANC 24/7 on YouTube and join ANC Prestige today.